Hello dear students, welcome to part 2 of the video series on globalization. So in this video we are going to discuss the economic consequences of globalization. So first is economic growth even? So which means that uh, does economic growth happens evenly all over the world? So we know the answer to this, no. So while countries grow rapidly, some other countries do not grow so rapidly. So like China has a high economic growth rate, and there are also developed countries like USA, Germany, Canada. They have low GDP growth rate because they are already developed. While India is a developing country and we used to have high growth rate, but our growth rate is still not very exceptional. So this debate keeps happening that India will become a $5 trillion economy in the next 3 to 5 years. But others keep pointing out that in order to do that, we need double-digit growth rate, at least 10 to 15% of GDP growth rate. So again, our economic growth is not even. So there is a need for a much broader way of understanding of economic globalization. Now, we are going to discuss that the distribution of economic gains, that is who gets the most from globalization and who gets less, indeed who loses from it. So again, globalization is not beneficial for all. So you might have heard that even during this corona situation, the richest people of the world like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they made more money, while poor people all over the world kept losing their jobs. So again, this global pandemic situation is not the same for all. While some people are making money out of it, other people are losing their livelihoods. Again, correct? Also, for example, when globalization happens and one company is MNCs are able to move into from one nation to another and branch out, then of course they gain from that because they get a new country and access to its market. But uh, so for example, if a country, for example, McDonald's comes from USA and starts selling fast food in India. So our desi fast food shops which used to sell samosa and chaat and all, somewhere their revenues might go down because people will move to this new fast food chain, that is McDonald's, Pizza Hut, all those, correct? So now, so McDonald's, while they will get gain the most from it, uh, the local fast food chains might lose. Some people might gain a little less, like something from this. So, for example, people who are unemployed, so when a new McD opens, they'll be able to get a job there. But their profit will be very less as compared to what the McD and like the company will make, of course, correct? Now, globalization involves greater economic flows among different countries of the world. So, again, globalization means that the economic flow from one country to another becomes more. So, the export and import goes up. There is a lot of exchange of commodities now. However, some of this is voluntary and some forced by international institutions and powerful countries. Correct? So, like India and China are like very big markets, but they might not want to provide access to their market to all other countries. But because these markets are such a lucrative arena, they might be forced by other countries and international institutions to do so. So, for example, mm, there's this trade war going on between China and USA. So USA is saying that China, while does not allow USA to use its market, China is able to freely sell its product in USA. So this is getting costly for USA. USA is losing a lot in this process. So again, that is an argument. In India, we keep having this argument of how our market is saturated with Chinese products. So again, this shows that there is this unfavorable condition here. Well, Chinese companies have a lot of access to Indian market, while it is not the same in case of Indians. Now, globalization has not led to the same degree of increase in the movement of people across the globe. So that is again an issue. So while Donald Trump wants access to Indian market, he is not willing to let the Indian people move to US and get better living opportunities. So that is why he is somehow against immigration and he wants to limit the number of immigrants that come to US. Same is the case of Brexit. Britain was not happy with the number of immigrants. So again, while these developed countries want access to the huge markets of developing countries like India and China, they are not ready to accept the people also. So it's a very selective and filtered approach. Next is state withdrawal a good thing? So withdrawal in case of what we'll see, okay? Developed countries have carefully guarded their borders with visa policies. Like I was saying, Trump is trying to make visa policies more strict. So developed countries guard their borders very strictly, and not everybody gets to go to those countries and earn a livelihood. You can go for tourism, that is good for their economy, but you cannot go and earn money because they say that then their people will lose out on the opportunities. Now, similar economic policies have generated vastly different outcomes in different parts of the world. So it's not sure that if you follow one economic policy in one country, then it will show similar results in another country also. So while one country may benefit from a economic policy, the other country might lose out from the same economic policy. So we cannot generalize in these cases. So concern of social justice is also there. So the extent of state withdrawal caused by processes of economic globalization. So like in USA, they have this capitalism, capitalist society. So there, but again, like it's not too capitalist. Also, like uh, they have free education at least, but they do not have free healthcare. Healthcare is something that you need to purchase. So if we do that same in India, we make sure that health is you have to something you have to purchase, then the quality will increase. But there are so many poor people in India who will not be able to afford that private health care. So again, we cannot say that there will be similar outcomes. So the concern is that the people who are dependent on the government for jobs and welfare, people who are poor, people who are disabled, people who are retired, they need support from the government, people who are unemployed. So these people need support from the government, and if the state moves away from such responsibilities, then these people will suffer and perish. Now, last is need to ensure institutional safeguards or create social safety nets to minimize the negative effects of globalization. So again, we need to create certain kind of social security policies, and we also need to institutionalize safeguards. So, for example, if due to automation some people lose their jobs, then there is some kind of pension or unemployment fund available for them. In US, they have something called social security. So if you lose your job, then you can survive on social security for some point of time. You get food coupons which you can use to buy food. So again, social security is a responsibility of the government. Now, challenge of economic globalization. So again, some people, I'll just go through the points once and then we can see. Okay, so here it ends. So some have called for a halt to forced economic globalization. Some people are saying that globalization is forced here. Like I told you, these developed countries are forcing the developing countries to open their economy. Like till 1991, India was a closed economy and we were suffering because we were not compatible with the world economy. So then we had to open up our economy. So somewhere not everything is consensual. Now, some economists have described economic globalization as recolonization of the world. So colonization was when big empires used to capture new territories and not only loot resources from there but also impose their culture on those new territories. So, for example, India was a colony of the British. So that is why we have the British culture of using English and the parliamentary system of democracy. So again, like we accepted the British culture, the way of dressing, all that. So in the similar way, now due to economic globalization, other countries are forcing the developing and the weak countries to open up their market, and then they are flooding those countries with their products. So again, well, this is what did to us. So the Britishers made us grow cotton, then they used to take that cotton to their country and make cloth out of it and then sell that back to us at higher prices. And this is what is happening again. USA and other developed countries are using China and India and Brazil like countries for raw materials, and then they process those materials and sell them at high value to us. So again, this is a kind of economic recolonization. More moderate supporters of globalization say that globalization provides a challenge that can be responded to intelligently without accepting it uncritically. So while there are critiques of globalization, there are also moderate supporters. So they accept that we need to critically understand globalization. We cannot say that it is totally a good thing. There are also various problematic aspects of globalization, and we need to take them into consideration. But still, we should not throw out the baby with the bathwater. So we should accept globalization. We should just try to do away with its negative consequences. So, what is the current reality? Increased momentum towards interdependence and integration between governments, businesses, and ordinary people in different parts of the world as a result of globalization. So, again, the ground reality is that globalization is happening, and globalization is leading to all these things. So, there is dependence and integration between governments. So, like in this COVID situation, most of the world was dependent on India for the hydroxychloroquine HQL drug, hydroxychloroquine. If I'm sorry if the pronunciation is wrong. So again, like they are there is this integrated world pharma thing. So India is the pharmaceutical manufacturer of the world, and the whole world is dependent on it. India is also the software leader in the world, and we the world depends on our software also. Like China is the manufacturer of the world. Most of the countries in the world are dependent on China for their products. So that is why there is dependence and integration between governments and businesses also, and ordinary people also contribute and connect with each other due to globalization. So this is the reality of globalization. It is here to stay. So we need to make sure that we do away with the negative aspects and accept the positive aspects. I'll end this video here. In the next video, we'll discuss about cultural consequences of globalization.